And we are live. This is Ruben Dua with the Dubb Action Online Summit. I am with Ofir Zan, and we're going to get into this topic of how to build a high-performing sales team. Now, there's a lot that goes into that, and in fact, we have an expert on the subject matter. We're going to talk about LMS. We're going to talk about training. We're going to talk about leadership courses, how to hold ourselves accountable, some important KPIs and so much more. So, Ofir Zan, if you could start with a short bio, and then let's get into this.
Sure thing. Thank you so much for inviting me over, Ruben. So my name is Ofir. I'm calling over from Tel Aviv, Israel, currently leading the global sales force at a company called BuildDots. We are a hyperscale mode startup in the construction tech space, 130 employees, and the sales organization is basically 18 people to date, but growing fast. My background is actually engineering, so I started in applied mathematics and computer science, worked in the defense industry for about 7 years, then co-founded two tech companies here in Tel Aviv, and at some point in my life, basically chose professional sales as a profession. Started as an account executive, grew up within the roles to manage a team, then lead a major region, and after consulting tech entrepreneurs and revenue leaders of both public and private companies, I decided to join BuildDots and basically continue what a company started. So maybe just a quick line about what BuildDots does. We're basically solving big pains in the construction space. We're helping general contractors really understand where is their project at using objective data. So it's basically managing construction using data. That's in very short. It's a core technology company, and as I said, headquartered in Tel Aviv, but there is a big office in London, and we basically spread it all over the world.
What's amazing to me is that Israel is pumping out so many billion-dollar startups. Um, Waze, one of my favorite companies, it actually started from Israel, and there's so many more examples. I think Fiverr is another example. It's sort of like a unicorn creator. What's so interesting for me is that when I think of the Israel tech scene, I don't even think of sales. I almost think like the technology is so powerful and so good that the people just show up. But people like yourself in sales, especially in a B2B play, obviously, you play such a critical role. So I'd like to know from your perspective why the tech scene blew up the way that it did in Israel. Why did it become so powerful, such a force in such a short amount of time? And then I have a follow-up question after that.
Sure thing. So obviously there are many reasons, and people speak about the money that is coming from global VCs into Israel and the fact that engineering at a very high level. But I believe that the real reason for that is because, and it's quite uncommon what I'm about to say, but we encourage failure. We encourage people to try and fail. And this is why you will see so many entrepreneurs here in Israel that really try out. They take their idea and they start to execute immediately. And if they fail, that's the best lesson they could have. And selling to places outside of Israel, such as Europe and the UK, that's not that common. What I just said. If you failed with your company, that's considered a mark that you're going to carry with you to the next job. But here, basically, working for a big corporate enterprise or a successful tech company doesn't count like being an actual tech entrepreneur, taking your idea from ideation to execution to then market it and try to get some, product market fit, gaining some traction, generating revenue, and so forth. We basically very much encourage that from early days, from early age.
Yeah, there's this image that I always think of when I think of sort of like tech failures, and it's a little bit sarcastic and kind of humorous, but it's a picture of a Lamborghini, a famous Lamborghini. I don't know who it belongs to, but the license plate frame says failure on it, and I have to figure out who this person is that's driving around with this car. But obviously, there's a message that we're hearing here. Not to say that being able to buy a Lamborghini is is what winning is about, but I think it just shows that in some places like Silicon Valley, like Israel, and certain tech scenes, that failure is in fact the path to success. It's just about pivoting. This is what Eric Rios talks about in the lean startup, which is learning and adapting and then changing and then being very
Fail fast, pivot
cyclical.
faster. Hmm.
Yeah, and I think the same applies to startups and to venture capitalists and to even large corporations now. I think what's most interesting is knowing when to pivot, when to change the strategy, when to move in a different direction, and when to just say, like, we just need more repetition and we need to stay on the path. So, my question for you is, when do you know? How do you figure out if you need to keep going, keep trying harder, or to pivot in a new direction? When do you know when to change?
That's an excellent question because I've been in that place. There is another option, by the way, which is when to walk away, when
Yeah,
to actually let it go and go
yeah.
to the next idea or the next adventure. So you have to be very honest with yourself. You have to be truly, brutally honest with yourself. And I think asking the hard questions, even if you don't being asked by your teammate, your friends and family that are supporting you, by all means, your investors that might be huge fans, or for them it's nothing just to put a few millions on your idea because you're passionate and you're going to give your everything into that, is to truly ask those questions and to ask them yourself and to answer that with honest, and see if you can find workarounds, if you can find solutions to the challenges you have. You also obviously need to have like a winner mindset, right? If you don't have the winner mindset, you will break down quite quickly. I mean, being an entrepreneur and taking an ideation into execution in the tech scene is not easy at all. There are a lot of challenges along the way. So yeah, I believe that will be the best answer.
What is the winning mindset? Let's get into that.
Yeah, winner mindset. It's a combination of the following from my perspective. First, being, you know, I would say extreme ownership, being truly owner of everything that is happening, taking responsibility and being accountable for the outcomes of what is happening around you, even if it's not necessarily contributed or resulted by something that you did. Maybe you could control the situation. That's like a winner mindset. And when you are extreme owner, you don't find excuses. So you basically continue to move on and continue to find solutions. So they're like constant progression in your process. Winner mindset is, we're in sales. We get no's, we get punch in the face on a daily basis. If you don't have a winner mindset, there is no reason for you to stay in an environment like that because you will probably suffer. So believing that you can win and you can constantly, lead and achieve more by doing more, by work smarter, by invest in your personal and professional development, and by invest in the personal and professional development of the people around you. Because at the end, the people around you, your team, is the most valuable asset that you can have as an individual, as a professional. And it's so important to surround yourself with people that are challengers. As a leader, I'm saying that I really like the fact that my team is challenging me in front of everyone in our team meetings, in our one-on-one. That will be the second pillar. And then, yeah, I think these two.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into this idea of a high performance sales team. So let's define sales performance. How can, as a sales leader, how can you say this is what our goal is? Is it what is the KPI? What is the growth rate? How do we align ourselves on a single goal? What is that?
So of course, it's pretty easy to measure a success of a sales organization, right? There is a bottom line, there is a target, and then either we eat our target, came close to the target or not. But I believe that there are other key KPIs that a high performing team should be measured by. And it starts with creating a collaborative environment. Because if you have like a bunch of individuals, like lonely wolves that just know to do what they do and they don't want to speak with others. They're doing it for 15, 20 years, and they don't want people to get in their way. That's not a success from a team standpoint. If you have a team that can, train the newcomers that are joining the team and making sure that they are ramping up quite quickly so that they can start deliver themselves. And then you have consistency in terms of performance. But you also have like a good distribution between people that are hitting quota and people that are coming close. So I will say that a collaborative environment is definitely something to measure when you build a sales team. Team morale and satisfaction is also very important. It can easily be a toxic environment because sales by nature is competitive. We've been measured on numbers. So creating a healthy competitive environment is also a KPI. And, hiring the right people to maintain and extend the culture that you're building as a leader, hiring on time, and making sure people starting to create friendships within the team. For me, it's a strong indication that you're doing something right. If people are speaking when you're not there, collaborating, sharing ideas, best practices, what worked, what didn't work, they do simulations and role playing together. These are some key KPIs to measure outside of the regular stuff of processes and sales enablement, training, courses, and so forth.
Now, you mentioned that one of the most important KPIs, obviously, in sales is the bottom line or sales growth. Um, but you also mentioned, a lot of different factors like collaboration, like team building, like training, which we're going to talk about in a moment. How are ways? I'm just thinking about my high school yearbook that there wasn't, one accolade that they gave away, which is best grades. There was 20 awards that people got: most liked, most likely to succeed, so on and so forth. So what are the various kind of hard or soft metrics that we can gauge our sales team on so that everyone feels like they're succeeding in some capacity? Obviously we need to align ourselves on sales growth because there's the bottom line, but at the same time everyone has different strengths. So how can we sort of lean into that?
Yes, there is a tight balance between a happy environment, everyone is winning, everyone is contributing, we're awesome, to targets, deliverables, bottom line measurements. And from my perspective, it's very important that each and every individual contributor that is part of a team know exactly what they've been measured on and know exactly that the highest priority is deliver on those numbers, basically selling. You've been hired to do that, and you're expected to deliver. And if there is a delivery issue that is, over time, that's definitely something that we need to tackle together and understand. Maybe that's not the right environment. So it's always tricky. You have those relationships, you have people collaborating, speaking, sharing ideas, best practices. It's a fun, joy environment. But then at the end, everyone needs to stand in his QBR, confront with the numbers, you know, what I did, where I'm heading. And those that doesn't need an external support in order to confront with themselves are those that really understand what the profession is required. Having said that, people bring different values, as you said. People can contribute in different areas. So we have people that are very good with processes when it comes to CRM hygiene, like following processes in Salesforce, working according to methodologies like MEDIC or Sandler training or whatever it is, and actually implement those in the fields. We have others that are very good communicators, so they can overcome objections quite easily. We have other people that are pro negotiators. Everyone can contribute, and that's exactly where the sharing knowledge unit is getting into place, right? We're consolidating everything under a unit called sales enablement in our case. And the photos that I shared with you, these are exactly the courses. You can see different courses, different topics in pillars. And under each and every topic, we drill very, very deep into the key concepts that are important, from how you identify a project, in our case, a construction project, to how you get this project to approval, how we do groundswell mapping in accounts that are more complex, that are more enterprise by nature, how we do a proper discovery, open-ended questions, no-oriented questions, how we do a proper qualification that is so important. So I believe that everyone, and you can see that usually in our events every quarter, everyone brings something to the table. But at the end, we really know what we've been measured on, what we get compensated on, and that, yeah, that's basically it.
So, okay, so we have some visuals here of the LMS that you're using, which is Rise, and
Yeah,
how you're using it specifically with the BuildOps product. So, could you explain a little bit how you're using information, knowledge, and LMS to empower your high performing sales team?
absolutely. So first, I will give a big credit to our director of sales enablement. Her name is Jenny Salem, who basically now not only consolidating but also putting all of this content into this platform so that it's accessible to everyone. Personally, I'm obsessed about personal and professional growth. So what we did here is basically taking stuff that we already training on an ongoing basis and just put it in a professional framework, something that will allow people to access at any time and level up their game. Now we combine theory with practice because at the end you're gonna meet a prospect, you're gonna meet the field, and the field act differently than what is on paper. So we try to equip everyone with all the tools, situations, best practices. Then we send them to do simulations within the team. So here's how collaboration is a standard, right? Go and practice with your guys. Go and practice with your friends. And they will dedicate, 2, 3 hours to listen to one of their colleagues and provide feedback. A time that could be allocated for prospecting, organizing the CRM, or closing deals. And and this is why this knowledge unit is so important. Getting the inputs, and by the way, the library itself is constantly updated based on the feedback that we get from the guys. So it was created by us for them, but constantly being updated by them using the feedback that we get from the field.
Very cool. Nice. Well, this was tremendous. You know, what I think my takeaways from this are a couple of them come to mind. Number one is this idea of collaboration. You know, another is this idea of building this balanced, healthy environment of let's make a happy working environment, but at the same time, let's focus on our bottom line. Because if we go for just one and not the other, we'll probably not achieve either. This reminds me of when sometimes when I'm warming up in my tennis game, if two balls come at me somehow and I try to go for two balls, I usually end up hitting zero balls. So I think
Yeah,
it's
it's a good
important.
analogy.
Yeah, it's important to kind of focus on both of those things, bottom line and healthy work environment. Also, this idea of a learning management platform, of sales enablement. Jenny from your team, a lot of people don't have someone like Jenny at their team, and as a result, they have poor CRM hygiene. They don't have centralized a knowledge base of information for staffing. So when people want to get trained, they don't know where to go. They have to surf through emails and wait till some Slack message comes. And I think that you guys are doing that really well. So shout out to you and congratulations on your success.
Thank you very much. Spot on
Yeah.
for identifying that. Yeah.
Yeah. So where can folks learn more about you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. Obviously, Build.it is growing. So for professionals out there that want to join an interesting team, as I said, we're currently 18 people as part of the sales organization. We're adding probably 20 more people in the next 12 months. And we're hiring all over the world in the UK, France, Germany, North America, the Middle East, and APAC. Basically, I'm sharing some knowledge, with the professional community out there. definitely trying to contribute to the people on LinkedIn, and also get value and learning from them. So you will see posts coming out from time to time. The last post was about ego, which is quite interesting from my perspective. Ego is one of the biggest deal killers if not being managed properly, and especially in sales. And also, I'm advising revenue leaders and early stage tech entrepreneurs. So basically, some of the companies I work with, you might get access through them as well.
Tremendous. Well, Ofir, I wanted to thank you so much. I encourage to people to connect with you on LinkedIn. That is your social place. So, Ofir Zan, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. Please stick
Thank you
around for
so
some,
much.
yeah, stick around for some production notes. Thanks.
Sure thing. Thank you, Ruben.